Statement about the official start of the season on Friday, and then we'll take questions here in the room.
Well, obviously the guys are excited to play the home opener on Friday night. We're looking forward to seeing what the progress we make this week. We didn't practice particularly well yesterday. We've been pretty good for the most part since October the 12th, but one of the goals our team has is to play consistently with our effort, consistently with our attitude, consistently in terms of our execution and our mindset. We're not quite where we need to be yet. I do think we're further along than when we started on the 12th. We've got 2 days, today and tomorrow, to prepare for the game to make sure we're ready for the game on Friday night. We'll take full advantage of that. It'll be a great challenge, especially on the defensive end. They're a team that is top 25 in the country in three-point percentage. Last year, they return a lot of those three-point shooters. Their production from the three-point line is also among the top 35 or so teams nationally based on last year's statistics. So we're going to be challenged defending the three at a high level. They run a lot of good stuff, a lot of good actions that are going to put us in a situation where we're going to be forced to communicate, which is what this team needs. I'm really looking for our transition defense to be a lot better than it was on Sunday, as well as in the Lewis exhibition game as well. Hopefully we'll make some strides there. They are a team that pushes the ball and tries to strike early, so it's going to challenge our transition defense, which we need that. So, we're looking forward to the challenge. Our guys are excited that the season's here. It's hard to believe that the 7 months have been a whirlwind, and the home opener's finally here, so we're anxious to get underway.
Where are you at in terms of finalizing a lineup, or are you settled on one yet?
I have not. I'll use the next 2 days to kind of finalize that. I've got a couple different lineups in mind that we're looking at. More of combinations of guys, Marcus, that have played well together. Not necessarily an individual grade out like we've done through the first 2 exhibition games based on respective position or positions that you play or played for us. So be a little bit different this time. It's going to be more of how do you play in concert with the other 4 players? What's that plus-minus chart look like? Who do we want playing with who? And those type of things. And we've got a couple lineups in mind that we're going to test here the next couple days and take a look at it, and then hopefully have something a lot more firm, obviously, when we tip off on Friday night.
Do you have like a big lineup and a small lineup? Is that what you're kind of testing?
Well, I don't want to get into details on that. I don't at this point in time for obvious reasons. I think maybe it's a little bit of a strength for us when it comes to playing our opponent. I'm sure they read all your guys' articles and check everything out leading into a game, just like we will about them when we look at who's covering them. So I don't necessarily want to tip us in one direction or the other, John, but there are some things we're looking at in terms of, like I said, lineups and how well those kids play together, and then who's coming in off the bench and who's going to end up playing with who in that rotation. Those are all all things that we look at as we head into Friday.
Still plan to go with basically 8 or possibly 9?
Well, I played 9 in the first half on Friday. As we've said all along, we'd like to play at least that, But guys got to earn it, and they got to earn it through how they practice. And, as I've said before, and I mean it, players play players, and, they've got to earn the trust of our staff that, that they're going to be where they're supposed to be. They're going to execute what we call. I thought our ATO, or after timeout execution, on Sunday was pathetic. We came out of a couple timeouts and we drew some things up, and we didn't execute what we asked them to execute. And guys have got to be able to do that coming out of timeouts. We had a busted shot where we had to shoot it from 35 or 40 feet, and that's just unacceptable. We didn't execute very well there on the BOB play, which we used a timeout to draw up with 2 seconds. And it's things like that. All those things get taken into consideration. And as Dustin Ford says to the players all the time, you're evaluated every day in everything that you do. And I think some of them are starting to realize that.
Any insight on who that 9th player could possibly be?
No, I'm not going to go there right now. I'm gonna wait till Friday.
Coach, you talk about you guys are fouling too much in your exhibition games. Is it guys out of rotation? Is it being overly aggressive, or what's the problem?
I think it's discipline more than anything else. Especially if you're a 4-5, I just don't think you should get many fouls below your shoulders. and we're smacking on ball screen defense, on hedges. We're smacking guys around the rim rather than showing our hands. So we just need a little bit more discipline than anything else, and making sure that we're showing our hands more and moving our feet and using our bodies and using our hands less.
You talked about rotations of guys. Do starters matter? I mean, does it matter who starts?
It may to the players. I've always said, freshmen want to play, sophomores want to start, juniors want to score, and seniors want to win. Now, you hope that that's not true all the time, and some of the younger guys can figure that out a little bit earlier. Obviously, I think one of the reasons that it's important, to be honest, is how many questions have we had so far regarding rotations and starters. So I think some of that stems from here, which I get it. I mean, I get it. But I do think, in my opinion, if you're asking me in my opinion, I do think it's a little bit overrated. A lot of it's who finishes the game, who plays well in the time that they're out there, who's productive per minute played, who plays our defense how we want it played while we're out there. Who does their job, and Bill Belichick calls it DYJ. I got to know Mike Vrabel a little bit when I was at another school east of here. Do your job. Are you doing your job? Obviously, we talked about the ATO deal. We drew it up. When we went out there, such and such, why are you lined up in the wrong spot? Did you not listen? You didn't do your job. Okay, those things to me are more valuable while they're out there as we're evaluating that than necessarily who starts or doesn't. But, I think it's, to players, certainly to 18, 19, 20-year-olds, it means something to them. It does mean something to them. I think it could be foolish to say otherwise, but I think it is a little bit overrated.
As you transition to getting things going here the way you want them to do, how important or how helpful is it to have a guy like Sam McLaurin, a veteran guy, kind of help some of these younger guys get along?
Well, Sam's played very consistent, very well. The last 2 weeks he's been terrific in practice. He's played like he's practiced. And you're right, Marcus. I mean, he's 22 years old. This is his 5th year playing college basketball. He has a lot of experience that he brings to our basketball team. He sees things. He's smart. He picks up things quickly. We've asked him to learn 2 positions, and he's done that pretty well. So it's invaluable to have a guy with his experience and, to help our 4 and 5s and really help our whole team.
How does he help Nana?
Well, I think Sam has a confidence about him, and I think that's helped Nana. Nana's a guy that, certainly played last year, but is playing a different role this year than he played last year. Is playing, more minutes, has a chance to contribute a little bit more than he did last year, and I think that helps. Nana's a guy who's only been playing organized basketball, as he would tell you, really since about 9th grade. So he needs, as I said this summer, more than anything else, he needs to play. He needs to play 5-on-5. He needs to connect the dots. He needs game experience. He needs to figure out how to play hard without fouling. He needs to play. Not that we all don't need routines and skill instruction and all those different things that he soaks up and absorbs at a high level, which is why he's got a chance to be a special player. He loves all that. I mean, he's into, what he's eating and lifting and getting shots up, and all that's great, and that's made him take the jump that he has. But I think to take the next jump, he needs to play. And I think that's where Sam helps him is, Sam's played in so many games and is so experienced as a 5th-year guy that I think he helps Nana stay even keel a little bit, not get too high or not get too low.
Coach, you hear some coaches that value certain possessions over others, first 10 of the game, last 10 of the half. Are there possessions that you think are more important throughout the course of a game than some others?
Well, I think they're all important. You heard me say that every day matters, every game matters, every possession matters, every drill matters. But I do think we try to take a lot of pride in how we finish, and that's why we were disappointed as a team and staff with Sunday a little bit in terms of how we finished the game. We always want to finish well, whether that's the half, whether that's a possession, whether that's a class, whether that's a weight workout, whether that's a skill workout. It's something that we take a lot of pride in and we talk to our guys a lot about, is finishing every single thing that we do. And obviously we didn't do that as well as we would have liked to on Sunday, and gave us a great chance to learn from it and learn from the film and hopefully be better off for it. And you're in that situation again, you you try to make sure that that you finish better than what we did on Sunday.
John, this is it's a big job. You're new there. You've inherited them. They're being asked to do new things. Are you kind of okay with where you are right now on the eve of the first game that's going to count?
Yeah, we're always, because of the way that we do things, Mark, we're such a process-oriented organization, staff, team, program, that, that's what we're consumed with, putting the practice plan together for today. I'm more concerned about that right now than I am the tip-off on Friday. That's what we can control right now. That gives us a chance to play well on Friday. Getting caught up in the process, getting caught up in the journey, making sure that we're prepared, making sure that everyone on our staff understands and our players understand that to play your best, you got to give your best every day, those type of things. Because of that, I have a sense of peace that every day I wake up. Now, that doesn't mean, like last night I didn't sleep real well because we didn't practice very well. That bothers me. And once that starts to bother the other 14 guys on our team and starts to bother everybody on the staff and infiltrates your culture, then you really got something. Because we weren't real good yesterday after a day off. Now we got 2 days, today and tomorrow, to make sure that we're ready for Friday night's game, and that's what we can control at this point, and got to make sure that we're better today than we were yesterday.
What do you do Thursday?
Day before the game, we'll always go hard, no matter what time of year, no matter what day. That never changes. The time will change. We'll scale back in terms of time, usually the day before a game, and we'll have less contact. We'll have some non-contact stuff, or the managers know it's their big day the day before the game. They get beat up a little bit. But we try not to put, use the football term, contact, non-contact practices or flesh on flesh on the day before the game. We try to minimize that to make sure that we're fresh mentally and physically for the game on Friday.
With new players and the new thing, how much of it is you adjusting to them and them adjusting to you? Is there like a percentage there?
Yeah, I think it's both, Marcus. I think it's a great point. I think hey, we're adjusting to the players, they're adjusting to us. It's amazing after you've been doing something for 4 years, just even the shoot around, the first time we had shoot around, just teaching them what we do on the day of a game, when we eat and when they have to be there and what position work looks like and how the shoot around starts and, all those little things. It's like, obviously you're coaching several guys. We've got an older team that have some experience. You alluded to Sam earlier, Brandon, DJ, Tyler have some experience. But in some respect, with some of those things, it's like coaching 14 freshmen. They haven't done daily dozen before, none of them. That's the first thing we do every shoot around. So you're teaching all 14 of them. And then what happens is you start to build something and build a program, and then next year's returners are teaching the new guys. Then it starts to gain momentum, and that's program building. Right now we're at the introductory stages with some of that stuff, but that's also what makes it fun and challenging. And the guys, as I've said all along, have been very coachable, very teachable. Their attitudes have been terrific. So that makes it a lot more fun to get up every day and go to practice and work with them.
It's a daily dozen.
It's a routine that we do to warm up.
Coach, you want to talk about Orange Hush?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm honored. They certainly, Orange Crush came up with the idea to do Orange Hush, and they're basically it's in a lot of ways honoring my alma mater, Taylor University, which is a special place to me. I tell people all the time, if I had a chance to do college over again, I'd go right back. It's a really special place. I met a lot of great people there, had a great experience there as a player, had a great experience there as a student. Coach Patterson, who's still the head coach there, is one of my mentors and is just a great person as well as a great basketball coach. So, I'm flattered and, honored that they would, they would basically honor Taylor University and welcome me and my family in that way. So it'll be interesting. It's how you can get 18 to 22-year-olds. I'm assuming most of the, if not of the Orange Crush, are in that age range to be quiet until the 10th point. That's pretty amazing. So, but I'm very very appreciative that they've made the decision to do that.
What makes a practice bad?
Which one? They're not all the same. So if you're talking about yesterday, it was more, I thought more a focus. I tell them all the time, you have to have a deliberate mindset to deliberately practice well. Okay, you can't just show up, get a stretch by the strength coach, and then warm-up drills start at 4:10 or 4:30, depending on what time we're practicing, and hope that you're going to have a good practice. It doesn't work that way. That's not how you prepare. So I'm trying to teach them right now mentally how to prepare for practice. One of their goals is to be more consistent. Well, to do that, you have to practice more consistently. You have to bring it every day. You have to be unflappable. You can't have excuses. You got to show up, you got to lace them up, and you got to compete every day. And yesterday, again, I just didn't think we had it more mentally than anything else. I thought our attitudes were terrific, but we weren't dialed in. I think that affects effort a little bit. And, I told them last week, I thought we had in that cycle right before we played Westchester, we had 3 practices. 2 of them were outstanding. One of them wasn't very good. So we batted about 6. I'm a math guy, repeating. Okay, well, then on Sunday we played about 24 minutes after I watched the film. That's pretty close to about 2/3. Play like you practice. And so that's what I'm trying to get through to them right now, and hopefully we'll be better today.
Do we have any questions from the phone line? If not, anything else in the room? Go ahead.
You're just a little about Tracy after the last exhibition game and praised just the way he responded. Can you talk a little bit more about just what you expected from him and what ways he has improved?
Yeah, he's obviously improved a great deal, and he practiced really well yesterday. I think he's playing with a lot of confidence right now. He's starting to figure some things out. The game is starting to slow down for him, which I think has helped him. Sometimes you can try. Is it Shannon? Shannon, is that you? Yeah. Sometimes you can try. Sometimes you can try a little too hard. And he's such a great kid, and he wants to do what you ask him to do. That I thought early on he was overthinking a little bit, and I call that paralysis through analysis. And I thought he was doing a little bit of that. And now he's starting to feel more comfortable and figure some things out. And he's playing very aggressively, and he's making better decisions, and knowing when to play fast, and when maybe to get the table set because the defense is back. And I think he's really starting to embrace being the front porch of our defense as well. Thought he did a great job in the first half of being disruptive defensively on the ball. So he's come a long way, and still has a long way to go, but we really like the progress that Tracy's making.
Is one facet coming along quicker than the other, offense or defense?
For Tracy, or just team-wise? That's a great question. I would say right now, I would say our offense is ahead of our defense a little bit right now. Based on Sunday's game. Usually, most of the time, it should be the opposite. Now, obviously, I'm basing that on the most recent game. I just didn't think our transition defense was very good. We got to get better there.
Anything else for Coach?
Coach, just on a personal level, how excited are you for Friday night?
Oh, very excited. It's amazing to think that the 7, 8 to 8 months have passed by this fast, that it's finally here, and it's an exciting time of year. I'm excited for our guys. They've worked really hard. They had a great spring, great summer, great fall. I really appreciate their buy-in and receptiveness to the new staff and our system, and so it's personally no question about it. I know my family's excited. My ticket list is indicative of that. For Friday night's game, so we're all excited to get this thing underway.
How many people do you have to?
I don't know. My wife controls the tickets, so if you want any, you got to go through her. But she has that list. I don't know what the total is right now. She takes that off my plate. She's a godsend because she I should give her a lot of credit. I mean, at this point, 7 to 8 months, I haven't helped her a whole lot. I mean, she's unpacked the house. She's takes care of our 2 boys, does a great job, and then takes care of the ticket list. And, she's speaking today at Rebounders, and, you know, is in the community a lot, and you know, gives back a lot. So she's you know, she helps make my job a lot easier. That's for sure.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.